I'm adding a scene from Totoro in my watercolor sketchbook. And if you're also a fan of Ghibli studio films, I'm sure that My Neighbor Totoro is among your favorites too. You know that his name derives from the word Tororo, meaning troll. He's called Totoro throughout the film because the little May mispronounce uh, the word for Totoro instead of Tororo. Her older sister Satsuki asks if she is referring to the troll in one of their books, and May nods affirmatively. The book is the Norwegian fairy tale Three Billy Goats Graph. In it, there is a troll that lives under a bridge and threatens to eat a family of goats as they pass. Uh, During Totoro's closing credits, you can see both sisters in bed with their mom as she reads Three Billy Goats Graph. And if you look closely, you'll see two Totoros. One is on the front cover under the bridge, and another one is on the back cover. I love Japanese culture and I enjoy learning about their mythology. And I researched, and Totoro is completely fictional. It did not exist before Hayao Miyazaki created it out of his imagination, but he might have been inspired by that fairy tale to create his own. When you look at Japanese myths, folklore, and culture, Totoro does not exist before the film came out in 1988. Throughout the film, the characters embark on a magical adventure with Totoro that celebrates the themes of friendship and the beauty of nature. And as you know, if you follow my journey as an artist, I'm a nature lover, and this film talks to me very deeply. And because of that, I have chosen to paint this scene because it conveys perfectly the main themes of this fantasy movie. While other anime movies nowadays focus too much in fast-paced action, Totoro takes its time and finds magic in simple things like clouds creeping across the sky and rain leaving ripples of light in dark puddles. It's showing children exploring the world around them and interacting with magical creatures. Then, when dramatic conflict finally disrupts the peaceful atmosphere in the final act, is all the more heartbreaking for it, and the happy ending is all the more cathartic. Totoro grew over time so much that merchandising alone became massive in its aftermath across Japan and abroad, and Totoro's face even became the official logo of Ghibli Studios. And did you know that this Miyazaki's kind of friendly film was considered the risk production, dismissed because it was too childish and lack of real conflict or action? Of course, the investors were proven dramatically wrong. Um, this goes to show that there are too many misconceptions about what the audiences enjoy. The producers probably forgot about their inner child and hence couldn't see the great power of this film. This brings me to talk about the lack of touch with the inner child that I see in way too many adults, especially in big corporations that make decisions that affect a large number of people. Their ego has grown so strong and powerful that keeps the true nature of those people locked and inaccessible. Our inner child is that part of us that still remembers the joy of childhood, the innocence, the freedom, and the playfulness. It also holds our hearts, traumas, and emotional wounds. The memories of joy and suffering during those times are very rooted in our unconscious, and art speaks and connects very easily to them. For those that have lost touch with their inner child, art therapy can be a great way to induce their imagination and engage their creativity. And we can transform the complexities of adult life while healing the child self. This is something that I really encourage to everyone, especially if you like to create and you enjoy even watching people creating probably is because you feel like you want to do it as well, but maybe you haven't found the courage to just go with it and be a child again and enjoy just messing around with materials and just letting go of whatever expectations you have in your head about what art is, or how should I draw, what should I draw. Well, in this case, in the background, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to be a bit more playful, and even though I'm having my reference next to me of the scene, I'm not trying to replicate everything exactly as it is. Just adding some shapes that are similar to the leaves that I see, but I'm just trying to, create the sensation of the background with all this nature around, but I'm trying to be a bit more playful in general in backgrounds, especially in the sketchbook, because I'm not trying to do a final and I don't have that pressure like we have when we have to create a final piece. And that playfulness and that inner child, I think for professional artists that don't just paint or create as a hobby, but it's it's their way of being, living and earning an income. So it's their job. The pressure is much higher. So the inner child, even though we enjoy a lot our work, the anxiety is a lot of the time present during our work, especially when we are with final pieces or we were trying to achieve something and we can't. It's not as chill and relaxing as when this is just to have fun and play as a hobby. And I think also because a lot of artists, if they've been through education like at uni, so they haven't been self-taught, but they've had a proper years of studies about the fundamentals and different techniques and theories and all that, like proper formal education. They know that it's even more pressure in our head for us, because unfortunately there is a lot of teachers in universities that forgot that inner child as well. And also maybe they forgot how sensitive artists are, because it's not just your work, it's kind of part of you, what you're doing. So giving feedback has to be very thoughtful and constructive. If it's not constructive and it's just destructive, it can harm a lot the person, especially on those times when you are younger and your self-worth and your self-esteem is not really big, and you always feel like the worst ever, and that stay with all of our artists all our life, because we always want to be better and better. I don't think we're never gonna be able to achieve that goal, because there's always room for improvement, and we tend to compare ourselves too much with everyone. But hopefully with the longer we are in the industry, the better we will feel. I don't know, I've talked about this with a lot of peers, like artist friends, and no matter the age, they still feel the same, a bit better, but maybe it's something that we all professionals have to deal with, no matter how many years you've been painting. I guess the perfectionism is very rooted in us psychologically. The formal education doesn't help, because the pressure of a lot of teachers and the atmosphere is quite competitive, and it's not really the best way of building a strong self-esteem and mindset, resilience. Not in that way. It's a bit too tough. But yeah, we can talk about this in another video, because it's a very long conversation about how some professors and lecturers in universities behave. Coming back to this painting, I'm using now the brush to create flat layers for these characters. I advise you to use a square tip instead of a round tip like I'm doing. My flat tip is too big, the brush, to use in this small sketchbook, and that's why I'm using this rounded. But for these flat layers, I'd rather to use a square one, because the layers are more evenly spread around the page. But if you know how to use watercolor, it's a bit easier to use these round brushes as well for even flat big areas like this, as long as you understand how the water behaves. If you are a beginner, you might find this a bit hard at the beginning, because these kind of brushes tend to create a bit more brush strokes textures, like it's not even and flat. I can create a new video talking about the different kind of brushes and the effect that they create, and which one is better for the different finishes that you are trying to achieve and the different areas of the painting and steps. This is not the best option, as I said, if you are just a beginner, but you can just go and try as well. I will explain as well in a video what I mean about how the water behaves, because it's very different using watercolors than using paint. Like the word says, watercolor is a water with color, so it's kind of you're painting with water with a little color, but you're kind of just taking the water wherever you want it to go. It's kind of you walking on the page with the water and telling her, okay, now come this way, now come this way. And the more pigment, obviously, the less water. So it behaves a bit more like normal painting, but we'll talk about that in another video. Well, as a final touches of this illustration and a lot of illustrations that I create with watercolors, because I'm really into line work, and obviously animation is also very prominent in the lines. I'm finishing this with my black pencil. Some artists create these lines, the final lines from the beginning with ink or with pens, or as well with dark pencils, but in my case I rather to do it at the end, because I also add some extra details, sometimes textures. I think it's because I'm used to pencils texture more than anything, any other media. So I guess that's how I want to finish. And well, this is the end of the process. I hope you enjoyed. And let me know if you have any questions or suggestions for next videos. And see you later. Bye.